Welcome to the Power of One. There are great people in the city of Philadelphia doing amazing things to stop the gun violence. We are losing so many people to gun violence in the city of Philadelphia. Please join hands with someone and unite with someone so we can march together to stop the gun violence in the city of Philadelphia. Today, I am going to be speaking with some amazing people that are going to have an event, and we hope that you join us. Welcome to the show. Tone, on Saturday, May 7th, 2022, you decided you were the creator for an amazing idea. Tell me what's going to take place on that Saturday.
So Saturday, May the 7th will be the first annual Day of Serenity. The Day of Serenity is a day where we're coming together as one, standing in solidarity for all families affected by gun violence. So we're bringing together the Muslims, the Christians, Philadelphia Police Department, the School District of Philadelphia, all the local nonprofits that's already grassrooted and doing the work, coming together for a day of healing, a day of pause, not a day of closure, because you can't give closure to a loved one who lost, a family member. So this is a day that we're standing in solidarity with resources and just put boots on the ground, because we don't need any politician or anyone to say that we're under a state of emergency. We're living in it. It's about a cause of action right now. So the Day of Serenity is coming up, and we're all looking forward to it, May the 7th.
You connected with some powerful people. 3 of those people you have with you today. So we have Mobita, and I remember the first time I met Mobita, I heard her speaking in a room, and the room was crowded. And after it was over, and after she got done speaking, I said, okay, who is that? I need to be connected with that powerful young lady, with that powerful advocate. So in this order, I would love to hear from Mobita, Dorothy Spike, and then Erica. Please tell me why you decided to be a part of May 7th. Tell me why you decided you wanted to have a hand in making this happen, because we need change in the city of Philadelphia.
So first, thank you for having us on the show, Melany. It is so good to see you. And really, I wasn't given much of a choice on whether I was going to participate or not. I actually met Tone at the NAACP Interfaith Breakfast, and he came up and he introduced himself to me, and he asked me for a meeting. And we met. I'm the founder of the Charles Foundation, and we met at my office in West Philadelphia, which the masjid is 3 blocks from my office. And he began to tell me about his idea about the Day of Serenity for homicide victims in Philadelphia. And he said, I need you to be a part of this. He kind of laid out what this looked like for him. And he said, I think we need to heal. And, I'm a 5-time co-victim of homicide. My life has revolved around not just trying to end gun violence, but trying to provide healing for all of those impacted, because we're literally living in war zones in Philadelphia. So I said, I'm in, Tone. I said, whatever you need, I'm in. And we began to lay out the plan and map it out for the Day of Healing.
Excellent. Dr. Spike?
Yes. As Mobita said, I didn't have much of a choice either. I don't think Tone gives those kind of choices, because he's that kind of powerful guy. And I think what was most impressive for me is that being a young person, a young man, wanting to make a difference and wanting to see healing in the city of Philadelphia, which we desperately need. So we were doing some work at the Philadelphia Masjid with the program that we were doing there. And he came to me and said that he would like for Mothers in Charge to be a part of the Day of Healing, because that's what we do in terms of working with families who've lost loved ones to violence. And as you know, most of you all know, my 24-year-old son was murdered many years ago, and I've been doing this work for many years now. And I'm just excited about the idea of Serenity, a day of healing, because truly this city needs that in the worst way. And to see a young man like Tone have the idea and do all the work that he's done thus far is amazing to me. So I had to be a part of this.
That's excellent. Erica, so you were voluntold too, I guess.
Yes, I met Tone through a mutual friend who actually, we took a phone call one day and he kind of pitched the idea of what he was trying to do. And I am the Director of Communities That Care at Central Division Victim Services. So Victim Services is dealing with the aftermath of victims of crime, and also compensation and therapy and resources. And I'm working with Communities Care with prevention science to really stop it from happening in the first place. So when he talked about what he was doing, I just thought it was a perfect match. We talked for about a long conversation, was our first conversation. And then he put together a call, which I met these colleagues on the phone, and we began to map this out. I couldn't be amiss without talking about Dr. Pamela Key, which is a colleague of mine that also was instrumental in laying down a foundation for this event. So we're just excited. We're happy to be a part of it, and it's necessary and it's needed for our city right now.
I agree 100%. And all of you ladies and Tone, there's always something going on in the city of Philadelphia. Good things, great things. But let me tell you, when I saw this flyer, the thing that stuck out to me was having therapists at this event. Do you know how many agencies have waiting lists for people who need therapy? And anybody can jump into this. That mother and Movita and Dr. Spite, can you imagine somebody telling you, I have a waiting list, but you just lost your son? How does trauma wait? So when I saw that on the flyer, I was moved. Like, this stuff gives me chills. Everybody knows victim services is a passion for me. It's not a job. So that part I'm extremely excited about. Tone, talk to me about that piece and what made you want to put that in there. And anybody else can jump in also.
Well, I was thinking about ways that we can separate, like, that will be different from any other event that we had before. So everybody, like, people don't realize that it's so many components to when someone gets shot or the trauma. It's a mental health aspect to it, and those issues really never get addressed. So it was just like, all right, well, how can we do something different? So it just worked hand in hand with that. And then, like I said, everybody on board, it was just like a magic team, almost like. Just speaking with Erica Gaines and Dr. Pam Keys at first, and then reaching out to Miss Movita at the laborers union, to Dorothy from Mothers in Charge. It was just like, damn, this is all working out together. I still can't even believe it when I sit back and think, like, because it's only been a short period of time will be put together. A year or anything like these relatively happened really short, so it was just necessary.
And that's awesome. It's circulating. I'm getting it in my email, which is amazing. And in my mind, I'm like, well, it don't matter to me because I'm already gonna have them on the show and these amazing ladies on the show. But it's coming in my email from different sources, so I'm sure the day will be very, very successful.
And
Ladies,
can I
tell
add
me
something to that, Mel?
Sure.
Can I add, because I think it's really critical. Even when he pulled the name together, and it was really funny how he pulled the name together, but the idea behind the name is to get all of the partners to come together on this day to put, as Tone put it, put your petty differences aside and come together. You know, we had 562 homicides last year. 2,332 people were shot last year. 80% of those were Black and brown boys. 41 of those were children. So this is the time, as Tone said, put our petty differences aside to bring all of the services to families who are suffering, because we're all suffering in the city of Philadelphia.
I agree. The $1 million question is this. Will you be able to reach the youth? Because that's what's happening now. We got 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, 16-year-old, which is blowing my mind. When we turn on the news and we hear that these young teenagers are being killed, are we going to be able to reach those who decide to pick up a gun to solve their problems?
I think it's very important that we do. Our future lies there. Oftentimes, as adults, we're coming to the table talking about violence prevention and all the things that, we feel is important, but we don't have the young people at the table.
Right.
So we make special efforts to bring in some young people. We've got to hear from them. I think what is happening in the city of Philadelphia is because they don't feel they have a voice. So we have to get them at the table, and Tone and young men like himself really have the ability to do that. They can connect in ways that oftentimes moms can't. So that's why another reason I was really so excited that he was laying the groundwork for this, because we've got to hear from our young people. We've got to let them know that we care. That's the thing I think that is missing, because we don't always acknowledge them or, bring them in to make decisions about the community, about their lives. They feel that they're not important. So we've got to change that. We've got to let them know that we love them, that we care about them. And I think we'll start to see things change with what is happening in the city. A lot of it is because they don't feel loved, they don't feel appreciated, they don't feel acknowledged, and they don't have a voice. We've got to change that. That's up to us.
I agree. And
I want to add to that too, Melany.
Yes.
Yeah, I definitely want to add to that. One of the things that when we were putting this together, that I told Tone, I said, we need to continue this. We need to make sure that we're making some efforts afterwards. So we have reached out to schools. We have reached out to organizations that are working with youth. So had a wonderful conversation with 100 Black men that are working within schools that are committed to bring youth. And also with just a wonderful conversation the other day with Strawberry Mansion High School, where we are going to be bringing some youth to the table. But again, this event is going to be a beginning, and it's a call to action. We definitely have to identify next steps. And of course, our young people need to be integrated and also leading us to help solve this problem that we're having in the city.
I love that.
Yeah, and we're very excited because, the Charles Foundation is actually the Philadelphia chapter of the National March for Our Lives organization. And we have 30 youth from across the city that we work with, and they will be at the day of Serenity, supporting other youth. They've determined that they are willing to bring their friends to this event. They will be there volunteering and helping other youth, because we've supported these youth with trauma recovery programs. We provide them with jobs. So they're engaged, and these are the ones most impacted. So the more youth that we can get out, like Dorothy said, this is our future. We have to tap into our young people. So the more youth that we can get out, the better.
I agree. I was just talking to Robert Warner not too long ago from Cure Violence, and he was talking about how he got into selling drugs, and it was because his house burned down. We're talking years ago. His house burned down, and he had to wear the same clothes over and over and over again. So of course, what do we do as kids? We start busting on them, but that hurt him. He figured out a way to earn money so that way he can look fly. But see, he was doing that because of that. And we're going back to what, like you said, to what Dorothy said. These kids are hurting in some kind of way. Sometimes they don't know what they're doing is wrong. We need to love on them and educate them and take them down a different path. So then that way they can know, okay, you know what? I'm going to turn my life around, or I don't have to go down this road. So that's the beautiful part about the Charles Foundation and what you're doing and being able to embrace these young people. Call to action is awesome. So this will be a new beginning. So you just won't do something for one day and then stop. But you plan to love on these youth for hopefully days, months, and years to come. So I want to ask all of you a very important question. For the shooter, what message do you have for that shooter that thinks that they can take someone else's life?
I'm going to go first with that because we are right now organizing a media campaign. And the theme is a mother's plea for peace. Sons, put down your guns. And we're going to give them reasons as to why. I remember working in the prison when there were many, many juveniles up on State Road. And I remember a young man saying to me, after he heard the testimonies from several of the mothers that were there at the prison with them, he said, man, if I had really known what I was causing and the pain that I was causing so many of you and so many mothers, maybe I would have thought differently about what I did. And he said that in a way that, he meant that. So I think oftentimes they don't oftentimes think about the pain and grief that they may be causing another. They only know the pain that they're experiencing. And what we know for sure is hurt people hurt.
Yeah.
So we, again, find a way to reach them. And we're going to do that through this media campaign, not only just letting them know the pain that we're experiencing and making this plea a national plea, but also to connect them with resources that can help them. We've talked to 100 Black men. We've talked to Ruben Jones and Frontline Dads, and just really wanting not only the young people to be connected to these organizations that can help, and Tone has a list of them as well, but also to let the mothers oftentimes who don't know where to turn. I've had a mother on several occasions say to me, I wanted to get help for him. I knew he was hanging with the wrong group, but I went to the courts, I went to the police, and they all said they couldn't do anything
until he was in the system.
Until he got in trouble. Well, we've got to change that. We've got to give them the information they need and help them navigate through the systems to get the support and the help that they need for their children. So it's not only just the young men we want to reach those families as well that care for them. And oftentimes they're overwhelmed with doing 8, 10, 12 hours a day jobs. But we've got to be the community that makes a difference with those families and give them the resources that they need.
I agree. Movita, what's your message?
What I would say to them is that we love you and we need you to be leaders in your communities. A lot of times we blame young people for situations that we've created for them, right? Mm-hmm. We know that racism is at the root. People know I fight against the social determinants of gun violence, right? And I'm the person who literally fought for the last 7 years of my life to bring GVI back to Philadelphia because I saw that they wanted out. They wanted a door, but there was no door. We have to create a door for them to come out of. And when that door is open, they need to have the social services and the supports that they need to be able to get life skills, drug and alcohol treatment, mental health treatment, jobs, education. And if we're not providing that, if we're not addressing the poverty, then nothing's going to change. But I tell them all the time, I talk to these kids on the street corners. I'm not afraid of them. I done raised most of them. So I tell them, we want you alive. We want you safe. And we don't want you killing anybody else. But we have to provide those resources to be able to help these young people to be successful.
Wow. Erica, and then Tom, we'll go to you.
I mean, but they both said it all. But, again, we need to reach these young people. They need us as well. They need resources. We need to find out the root of the problem and address it. A lot of the work that we're doing in prevention science with the Communities That Care Coalition is to prevent these types of things. We want to make sure that they get opportunities, skills, opportunity to bond with adults in the community so they'll have better investment in the community so they're not making these decisions anyway. But once you've gone down that road, there is redemption. You can come back. You can give back to your community. You can be a meaningful part of society. You can also tell your story to help others and other young people, to tell them exactly what's going on and how it affected your life. We want to make sure that we can share resources with them, mental health services with them. They're a part of our community. So at this point, the healing begins all in full circle because I had a wonderful conversation with someone that talked about those families of the shooter and how they're affected. So this violence circle affects all of us.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Tone?
Well, I would ask them right before they pull the trigger, are they ready to risk it all? Because mentally, once you pull that trigger, it's so easy for you to pull it again. And then are you ready to deal with those consequences that come along with that? You know what I mean? Because once you shoot somebody, it's, you know what I mean, it triggers something in your mind. It's almost like I don't know if you remember the movie Juice, when Tupac got turned out, and it's so easy. So it's like, are you ready to risk it all? Because it's other sides that come along with pulling that trigger, like the jail time, and you know what I mean, just going crazy. So I mean, like, my thing is, when I talk to these guys, and some of them get it and some of them don't get it, but you know, like, it's a lot of different factors, like the drugs and the poverty that we in right now. So it's a lot, like the guns and things that we are going through right now is a direct result of the poverty that we in. All this stuff brings crime and violence. So it's a bigger scale than really just the violence right now. So I would just ask them, are they ready to risk it all?
I agree. I take my hat off to Movita and Dr. Spike, who both have, Movita, you've lost many of your family members, but 2 sons. And Dr. Spike, you've lost your son. I take my hat off to you for the work that you do, and the work that you've done, and the work that you'll continue to do. The passion that you had to help those who were affected and who are affected and who will be affected by gun violence. I admire what you do. I really do. Tone, I want you to give all the details for May 7th, 2022, where the event will take place, what time. Please tell everyone, because we want to have an amazing turnout.
So it will be hosted at 4700 Wyalusing Avenue. Registration will start at 9. It'll be over at 10:30. The event will start at 11. It will go till 6 p.m. And we have a slew of activities for the day. We have a basketball game, the cops versus the community. We have a free carnival for the kids. We have activities geared towards the kids and the adolescents. We have credible people who experience gun violence to actually speak. This is not a day for the politicians to get on the microphone and to start talking a rhetoric. This is for the city, our hurting city. So we have workshops, and we have free breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So we provided a full day of activities for everyone.
Let me ask you a question. For those who may not have a phone, not everybody has a phone. How are you getting the word out, and how can I help you get the word out?
We was doing social media, Instagram. We try to do some radio, some TV, you know, just boots on the ground, flyers. And it you can help us out by, you know what I mean, by putting the flyer on whatever media that you have access to, and just word of mouth. If you know what I mean, if you don't have a phone or whatever, just pass the word along, because it's such a huge day, you know what I mean, for everybody, because one way, shape, form, everybody's been affected by gun violence. Either you experience it or you're just tired of hearing about it. Mm-hmm. So, you know what I mean, enough is enough.
I agree. I want to thank all of you for joining me today. I will see you May 7th, 2022, but I know I'll see you before then, because all of you are boots on the ground, just as I am. Again, I thank you so much for the work that you are doing. I ask that you be safe. I love you. Peace and blessings.
Thank you. Love you, Mel.
Thank you,
Melanie.
Thank you for joining me today. I asked on May 7th, 2022, that you join us while we take a stand to end gun violence in the city of Philadelphia. Peace and love.
Don't want to take it slow. Just want to let you know. Ready to spend some time. I need to speak to you, just wanna be with you, just let me take you for a ride. Needed some time to grow. Just thought I'd let you know.
Erica Gaines, Director of Central Division Victim Services, Communities That Care of North Philadelphia. Let's go, Philly.
Baby, just way too young, baby. I was too blind to see what you meant to me. The things you can't forgive, didn't know how to live, 'cause I didn't love myself. Live by your side, share a life and heaven shine. Don't wanna take it slow. I wanna spend some time, needed some time to grow. Just wanna let you know, ready to lately, I'm hanging on to my maybe. I miss you every day. You were the one that got away. Been thinking about you lately. I'm hanging on to my maybe. I miss you every day. You were the one who got away. Don't wanna take it slow.
Repeat after me. I don't want to kill you. I don't want to kill you. I want to heal with you. I want to heal with you. I don't want to kill you. I don't want to kill you. I want to heal with you. I want to heal with you. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Scott, Executive Director of the Philadelphia Juvenile Justice Services Center. Can't thank all these organizations enough to help and bring the end to this gun violence.
I need you to say, take two and clap for me, all right? Hold on. Ready, go.
Take two.